Yeah, another good team. I mean, no matter how you look at it, they did lose the last game to Southern University at home. Southern did a great job of changing things up, but we knew that that game didn't mean anything. That they were going to come in here, and this was going to be their national championship game, and the hangover from Hawaii to me still stood it in the way. Even though we knew what this game meant to them, it needed to mean more to us, and we still pulled it out. We didn't play our best, and still pulled it out.
Hey, Coach, when you're in a rhythm playing game after game after game, you get into a nice little groove. Being off 7 days, how much did that rust of not actually playing a game affect the start of your game?
I think it hurt a little bit because you have that time off. It does hurt you, especially if you're not coming out and being aggressive from the beginning. It's just, with this new team, I keep saying the same thing. They still haven't been in enough battles together to kind of understand what to do. We just have great pieces that can make a play at any time, and it's been working for us. But when we get into a groove, we almost got to our goal today with 20 assists. We have 14. We keep getting better on trusting our teammates, not taking bad shots, and then playing better on the pick and roll and man to man. Then we're gonna get better. But that rust did hurt us.
Penny gave up a lead in the first half, came back out, took a double-digit lead, and they closed the gap again. What was it about that last stretch that you guys had that allowed you to pull away and come away with the victory ultimately?
Just the big-time players making big-time plays on both ends of the floor. You got to give them credit. They shot the ball really well. We knew the usual suspects and just still couldn't stop it. It's just a part of the game, man. You're just happy to get out of these games with W's because, again, really good team that's picked to win their conference. We're not playing shabby teams. We're playing teams that can actually beat you, and we have to play on a nightly basis. Is that fair to the team? Because we don't have the games that you can win by 30, 40, that you can get ready for the next game or whatever. We don't have those games, so we're right in the fire.
Penny, I asked PJ and Tyrese this question post-game. They were coy about it. I'm going to ask you, would you be willing to call them the best backcourt in America?
I would be willing to call that. And that's not even – that's just my confidence in the guys that I have. But I go even further and say the best trio of guards with Kobe. You can't leave Kobe Rogers out, man. I love PJ Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter, but Kobe Rogers is a bad boy. Those three guys are really good, and I'm glad we have them. But, no, I wouldn't be maybe they should stay humble, but I can say just being a guard, just watching guards every night, that they could arguably be that.
Louisiana Tech, was obviously very lethal from behind the three-point line tonight, especially 62% in the first half. What kind of happened there, you think, defensively?
They're good players. Coach has done a good job of going out and recruiting, and we're everybody's best game. So you're getting how we went into the UConn game and we went into the Michigan State game. That's how that team came in here on us today. It's a different level. That's just how it works. And they shot the ball because they were ready.
Sorry, obviously you had a few scares that look similar to this last year, but would you say Louisiana Tech is a better team than say what Vanderbilt was last year or Austin Peay or some of those games?
Arguably, you could definitely say that. They're projected to win the Conference USA, and they got a good group of teams over there. So at the end of the day, you got them in Middle Tennessee right now that's kind of separated themselves. But yeah, you could say it's similar to the Vanderbilt and Austin Peay game. Maybe a little better than Austin Peay, but maybe right there with Vanderbilt. But they have some good players, man. And the big boy, he caused a lot of problems for us. That point guard did a great job, and their shooters made shots. They did what they had to do.
After what you've seen from the team through the first 8 games, how far or how close are they to reaching their potential defensively, what you want to see from them this season?
Yeah, we're not far off in all areas. Or I'll say we're not far off. We just have to commit to the pick and roll and guarding our yard. Once we do that, that's going to make us one of the most elite teams in the country. If we could just commit to on-ball defense and pick and roll defense, everything else we'll be able to handle because you don't create those triggers. If you don't give up a dribble penetration, you don't have to play out a closeout. So you do those two things. So we're really close to being one of the best top 5 defenses in the country.
Hey, Penny. Your team played a very physical game today. You finished plus 13 on the board. You forced 14 turnovers in the first half. What was your message going into this game about physicality? Yeah,
we were trying to, when we played back in the day, we tried to take teams out in the first half that we think we're supposed to be, right? We're thinking like we're supposed to be La Tech in our minds, like this is how we think, because that's the confidence you're supposed to have. You're trying to take those guys out in the first half, so we came out super aggressive early, and then it just fell off. And then when they gained confidence, they knew that they could play with us. Then it was a dogfight, and we told them that from that point on.
Hey, Coach, how do you manage your players, to stay focused for each game? Because now, early on you were just riding the wave. Now you're getting all these accolades. How do you keep them focused on the here and now, the day-to-day?
Yeah, it's the task of human nature. Like when you win a game like UConn, you get 100 text messages. You beat Michigan State, you get another 100 text messages. So you start reading that, you start believing. Then you go in a game against Auburn, get beaten, but still everybody's going, you guys are on the map. You get put in the top 25. You start reading that, and you forget that you still have to go play. And that's the task with a new team, because nobody has anything except for Nick Jourdain, to understand that we were 11-2 last year, and then we went 8-7 in the last 15 games. So to understand that as a coach, and Nick understands that the rest of the team just doesn't understand that yet. They think we can just do heroics every single night and just pull a win out. It just doesn't work that way. So we just have to change a few things and then change our mindsets, and we'll be okay.
Trey, at halftime, when we talked, you weren't thrilled. When you got in the locker room, did anything need to be said, or was it just kind of understood?
It was already understood. I mean, obviously, these teams are good, but when you're at home, you just want to go in with a 10 or plus more lead. You want to just impose your will on teams, and we didn't do that. We started off doing it, and then we let off the gas. And again, we learned from it. Everything doesn't have to be about heroics. It's just about energy. Sometimes you just scrap the game plan and just play your heart out, man. Diving on the floor, taking charges, weak side blocks, and then pushing the ball up the court and playing basketball.
You said earlier that at this point you're just happy to get out, against a team like this. You're just happy to get out with a win. How far does that go? Like, at what point is that?
It's one game, because it gives me a chance to go back and show film and correct. So that's what you really want. You use these games when you win them as teaching, just like you do as losing games, but you get a chance to do it after a win and say, hey, guys, we have to get better at this. And these guys are good enough and understand enough that we have to shift. So I'm looking for us to shift for the next game.
To your point about you and Nick Jourdain having the kind of jump-off point from last year, understanding where you guys were in terms of success, how much do you have to reiterate what happened to you guys last year in games like coming up like today?
Yeah, I don't like go back through it and reiterate anything. I just kind of, as a coach, they know that if you start letting your guard down against certain teams that don't have a big name, that you can actually get beaten, and we can't afford that. So basically what I'm talking about is validating who you are. If you're in the rankings, then act like it. Let's act like it. Let's stop reading the text messages about how great we are, and let's buy into what we're trying to do every single night. And it's the non-negotiables every single night that we have to pay attention to. We're only doing half of those and still winning. I just can't imagine what happens when we do the whole entire 100% of what we're supposed to do and then buy into that. We just haven't done that yet.
Penny, obviously through AAC play, once that starts in January, you'll have a whole lot of teams with maybe not as big of names as the Auburns and Michigan States and so on. What have you learned from last season when it comes to like pressing the right buttons to get your guys motivated for Louisiana Tech or East Carolina, Temple, whoever it may be, and having that same focus?
Yeah, with some guys, it just doesn't matter. They're used to seeing Baylor. They're used to seeing Iowa State. They're used to seeing Houston. They're used to seeing Texas. It's like, or Kentucky or Arkansas. It's like North Texas, Rice, Wichita State, no respect, but those teams play extremely hard. The one good thing about us this year is Kobe Rogers, P.J. Haggerty, and Nick Jourdain have all played in the league, so they know, very familiar with how it works. Last year we only had Malcolm and Nick, but it's best when the guards understand what it's all about as well.
Coach, I know your team has this identity of being three-level scorers pretty much up and down the roster. And then you come into this game, you're the best three-point shooting team in the nation. Tonight you shoot 35% from three, and you're shooting only like 16, 17, 18 threes a game. At what point do you more of a season-long question, at what point do you just start shooting 20, 23, 25 threes a game?
Yeah,
How
we're
do you
really
balance
trying to
that?
build up to that. If I can answer your question, we're trying to build up to that because we want to run. That takes giving the ball up in transition and not dribbling up. You know, you got to give that ball up to make us faster. We want those transition threes. We want to get to 30. You know, we don't want to forget that we have an inside, but we also want to get those transition threes, and we're not doing that. We're fast enough to do that, and we've been successful when we have done that. Very successful in shooting it at a high clip when we get the ball up. So we got to continue to work on that in practice with not dribbling up and getting the ball up the court, like you said. And then in the half court, when you beat your man, you got to get off the ball. It's got to be 0.5 mentality to the next guy, and you get those open threes. Then it goes from 18, 19 to 30. But there has to be a commitment from the guys to want to do that.